There is a bigger experience gap between intermediate graphic designers and senior designers than most people realize. Learn this and leap forward many years with a new design mindset. When you're designing, you shouldn't fully trust what you're looking at. Not in a kind of paranoid way, just don't assume it's right straight away. I might be halfway through a project and I take a pause and take stock of the design. I will evaluate its direction and its harmony to the brief. And instead of pushing through any kind of issues, I will look at it through the lens of the target audience, and I will leave my emotion to the wayside. And this habit does build over time. It's not about doubting yourself, it's actually quite the opposite. You're confident enough to question your own work properly, and that's something you only really develop with experience. And the next thing senior graphic designers do every day is quite simple, but it's one of those things that quietly saves projects. If you've been looking at a design for too long, your brain can do some weird gymnastics of normalizing everything, including problems or missteps. So I do this. I just export the design, close it, and then leave it for a bit, a few hours ideally. Then I import it again later on a different device or a phone or just a different screen. And it's almost surprising how quickly things can stand out. Things you might notice are issues such as text feeling too small or too large, layouts feeling completely off, or just something looking too heavy than it should. And hey, you might even see the odd typo or two. But it's stuff you didn't see at all before. And that ends up being pretty huge because now you're seeing it more like someone else would, not like the person who's been building it for a few hours glued to a screen. Now, I want to talk about something that's a big part of a senior designer's workflow, and that's organization. And it's not so boring as you think, but it is something beginners massively underestimate. So files end up scattered across folders, chats, exports, and before long, you're actually starting or staring at a file name you don't recognize. And you're there left wondering which version is actually approved by the client. A more experienced workflow is to keep everything in one clean asset library with a clear version history. And that's where pix.io fits in real nice. Now, pix.io is a digital asset management tool, so it's basically a central place where you can store, organize, and track all of your creative assets. And for me, that is huge, because instead of exporting new files every single time I make a change, I can upload an update and add it as a revision. Now you can leave short notes like logo moved or colors updated, and everything shows up in the revision timeline so you always know what's changed and which version is current. You can also visually compare two revisions side by side to quickly see the differences, and once something is approved, you can mark that version as final so nobody accidentally sends the wrong file. Another really practical part of the workflow is the Adobe Creative Cloud integration. You can browse your Pix.io library directly inside Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign. You can place assets into your designs and make edits and then save the update back to the library as a new version. And when it's time to actually deliver your work, you can simply share a clean collection page or a single asset link with permissions. And that's so obviously clients only see the files they actually need. But be sure to check out Pix.io linked down the description box below of today's video, and a big thank you to them for partnering with Satori Graphics. Another thing that changes as you get better is you stop thinking about what the design says, and you start thinking about the psychological or emotional state the person is in when they come to see it. Because that consideration completely changes how it should feel the other end. So just picture someone scrolling a charity website. It's not the same mindset as someone casually flicking through a fashion magazine. One might be a bit cautious, maybe looking for trust, maybe slightly open emotionally. The other one is just a bit relaxed, they're just browsing, not thinking too deeply. And so if your design doesn't match the starting point they have emotionally, something is going to feel off straight away for them. So instead of just focusing on the message, you're kind of tuning the design to meet the person where they already are. And so consider a marketing advert built into a fashion magazine. The designer might lean into bold visuals, strong contrast, and clean, confident typography so they can grab some attention instantly. And it's less about explaining and more about creating a feeling, something aspirational that makes the viewer pause, even for a second. But just remember, whenever you're starting a design or working on a design, think about the person you're designing for. How are they feeling before they get to your design? And something else I see a lot that senior designers don't really do is jumping into a design too quickly. The truth is that if you don't actually know what the design needs to do, you're pretty much guessing here. Graphic gambling, as some would say. So before anything, I try to pin it down properly. What's the job here? Is it to grab attention, maybe explain something, build trust, sell a product? Because once that's clear, the decisions become a lot easier. And there's always this quiet check in the background while I'm working, which is just why? Why is this here? Why choose this font? Why that kind of micro white space? Why this color scheme? And if I don't have a solid answer, it usually means it's not strong enough just yet. A lot of design decisions get made on autopilot once you're comfortable. But when you slow that down, you actually question things. You strip out the unnecessary choices, and the end result just feels tighter, more, intentional. And something that evolves over time is how comfortable you are leaving things unfinished. Yes, I said that right, unfinished. Now, early on, there is this urge to keep tweaking until it feels done, quote unquote done, even if you're not really improving anything. But more experienced designers are fine, totally fine, stepping away when a piece isn't fully resolved yet. They know that clarity often comes later, and that patience stops you from overworking designs and usually leads to a better decision when you do come back with a cleaner, clearer mind. But also, a lot of experienced designers know that it's a waste of time spending hours on the final 2% of a project. A design is most often totally fine and ready for the world without spending 50% of your time on the final 2% of a project. Try this. Choose 2 or 3 keywords in a paragraph and give them just a touch of styling. Maybe increase the weight slightly or increase the size by 3 to 5%, or you can shift the colors a notch or a lot. This creates micro movement. Their eye stutters slightly when it hits these words or the word, and this increases engagement. It doesn't feel like a highlight as such, it feels like a pulse. And this will do 2 main things. Firstly, it will keep people on your design longer, and secondly, it creates rhythm and flow for them to carry on through your text on your design. And this works amazingly well for editorial spreads, poetry books, spoken word posters, or packaging that includes a lot of storytelling and lots of text. It gives you rhythm inside the body copy, like a beat between the lines, as such. And I'm going to stop the music-based analogies right now. But if you want to hear some more techniques and to level up your skills as a graphic designer, simply just click that video on screen. Until next time, guys, design your future today. Peace.